This is not the legacy you were meant to inherit. Naruto Kakashi says, clenching his fist in anger. Legacy, Sasuke questions, heavy with implications. This dark spectacle is the power of the Shadow Monarch, a formidable and rare ability that manifests in certain members of the Uzumaki clan. The last known wielder was Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto's mother Kakashi replies as Naruto stands flanked by his grotesque shadow soldier. Yes, my mother passed this power to me. So did my honorable ancestor. This is no different than any bloodline, Naruto says and dismisses his new soldier, Kaiza. Tazuna. Is Krieg the pirate harassing you, he adds, the tone of his voice unexpectedly gentle compared to the dark display moments before. Yes. Some call him Don Krieg, Kaiza replies, with a hesitant nod. Konoha can't openly interfere with the matters outside our jurisdiction, but we will ensure your protection, Kakashi said, addressing Tazuna and Kaiza with a serious yet calming demeanor. Sasuke's eyes were not on Kakashi, but were fixated on Naruto with a complex blend of envy and ambition swirling within them. If only I had his powers, Itachi would stand no chance against me, he mutters under his breath. Sakura catches the tail end of Sasuke's comment and looks at him with concern. Sasuke, you shouldn't think like that. We're a team, she whispers, trying to remind him of their bond. Naruto seals the demon brothers' bodies into scrolls for their bounties as Hinata stares at him. Should we not continue on? We have a mission to complete to make a good impression for the Gote 13, that Uzumaki is a part of, Hinata says, looking to her sensei. Hinata's right. This mission is crucial in showing the strengths of Konoha and its hidden talents. We should proceed with diligence and caution, Kakashi says, hearing Hinata's words as the group continues back on the trek to Wave Country. Venenhan. Back in Konoha? Tsunade is in her home as Mei and Tenten return from their evaluations of Team 8 and Team 10. How was it, Tsunade asks, her voice carrying a mix of authority and genuine curiosity. Team 8 showed impressive synergy, especially considering the unique abilities of Kiba and Shino, though Yakumo's control over her illusions adds a strategic advantage. Kurenai-sensei's guidance is what truly binds them. Tenten begins, her words painting a vivid picture of the team's potential. Mei nods with her eyes reflecting a tactical mindset. And Team 10 under Izuma Sarutobi's leadership is like a well-oiled machine. Shikamaru Nara's intellect, despite his laziness, can't be underestimated. Ino Yamanaka's mind techniques, combined with Choji Akimichi's raw power. They complement each other perfectly, she adds, her tone underscoring the distinct strengths of each team member. Your evaluations give us much to consider. Konoha's strength has always been in the diversity of its shinobi. Each team with its unique composition brings something invaluable to our cause, Tsunade says, picking up her teacup and pondering the input. It also means we would need a team instead of an individual if we pick someone from Team 10 and Team 8, Ten says, crossing her legs and her voice thoughtful, yet decisive. I agree, Naruto. Tenten and I are a team, but we can work as individuals. Can they face foes on their own, Mei says, challenging the present company to reflect on the adaptability and resilience of their prospective recruits. That's a valid point. The Gotai may require more than just team strength. Individual versatility and the ability to think on one's feet are crucial, Tsunade says, purses her lips and pondering. Exactly. While Ino might seem more focused on her appearance at times, her ability to connect with others is unparalleled. Choji's strength is not just physical, but his heart too. He fights not just for himself, but for his friends, Mei says, her gaze firm. And don't forget about Shikamaru. Lazy, yes, but his strategic mind could give us an edge we need. Each member of these teams has the potential to be a key asset for the Gote 13 adds 10. Tsunade nods and appreciates the depth of their analysis in a short amount of time. Your insights are invaluable. We will need every advantage we can muster. The talents of Team 8 and Team 10 could very well tip the balance in our favor. We might need to test them further. See how each member fares individually as well as part of their team, she says, and the room falls for a moment, as the gravity of their task settles over them. I believe that is essential. We need to understand not just their team dynamics, but their personal strengths and weaknesses. Mei says, nodding with Tsunad's assessment. I'll arrange for individual assessments, not just team-based scenarios. We need to be absolutely sure of their capabilities before we make any decisions, Tsunade says, and both nod. Speaking of personal dynamics, I wonder how Naruto is managing with Team 7. Given all its members are people he has had, let's say, less than favorable interactions with in the past, she adds, after a moment of contemplation. True, but considering how Sasuke, Sakura and Hinata treated him back at the academy, I can tell he's not exactly thrilled. If he doesn't like them, he'll put the mission's success above all else. He'll do what's needed. Keeping his head straight and focusing on the goal, Tenten says, her expression slightly more reflective. Exactly. Amiyuri-sensei and Zabuza-sensei always said Naruto has always been one to use every situation to his advantage. And frankly, I think being around those who once doubted him the most gives him a subtle drive to prove them wrong. It's just how he is, Mei says, warm laughter escaping her mouth. And honestly, it's almost entertaining to see everyone's surprise as they witness a side of Naruto they've never seen before. The way he's handling everything. It's proof of his growth, and not just as a shinobi, but as a person, Ten says, a spark of adoration in her eyes. They need to understand Naruto isn't the same kid they knew, Tsunade says, rising from her seat to prepare dinner with Mei, and Tenten helping her. Back at the plot, Naruto, Team 7, Tazuna and Kaiza reach the coast as they lay eyes upon the massive structure that is Tazuna's bridge, still 3 miles from completion. Looks pretty impressive, Tazuna Naruto comments, taking in the sheer scale of the project. It hasn't been easy, but with the help of everyone, we're making progress, Tazuna says, his voice carrying a hint of pride. It's more than just a structure. It represents the hope and resilience of our people, Kaiza adds, his gaze fixed on the bridge. The design is so intricate. It must have taken meticulous planning and execution, Sakura says, admiring the engineering feat before them. Indeed. It's a testament to Tazuna's skill and the determination of the workers, Kakashi says, observing the bridge with a trained eye and his demeanor analytical. And these pirates oppose it, Sasuke comments, ever the pragmatist. Yes, they see as an opportunity to rob, steal, or kill for what they want. They even attack our fishermen, Tazuna states, his expression somber. But now our hero has returned to help us once again, Kaiza says, clapping Naruto on the back. Naruto nods as they continue to a makeshift port with some equipment, but also a boat that wouldn't accommodate them all. You all take the boat, Naruto says, and his eyes glow. Arise, he adds, and raises jaws, a 25-foot shark. Sakura's eyes widen in a mixture of awe and apprehension, a hint of jealousy flickering across her features. Sasuke remains outwardly composed, but his eyes betrayed a similar sentiment, as he couldn't help but envy Naruto's power. Contemplating the potential advantages such abilities could provide, and again wanted such power to kill Itachi. Hinata studies the shark intently, and her expression one of quiet stoicism, while Kakashi steps closer to Naruto. I'll emphasize this. My team's primary objective is to ensure the safety of Tazuna and Kaiza. Not the pirates, Kakashi says, glancing to the father and son. I'll handle Don Krieg and his pirates, Naruto says, as Team 7 climb on board the boat with Tazuna and Kaiza. Naruto hops onto Jaws before the boat casts off, and with a gentle nudge to Jaws begins to glide through the water. The boat carrying the rest of the group follow closely beside him, their journey to Wave Country underway, each of them steeling themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. Meanwhile, in the vast expanse of the ocean, a mana warship is brimming with activity. Pirates scurry across the deck, some attending to their duties, while others reveling in the spoils of their latest plunder. Among them stands a towering figure, a man whose muscular frame and distinct captain's attire commands attention. Don Krieg, Do you think that bridge builder has returned? One pirate says, drinking rum. Maybe. But listen up. Our coffers are brimming, but I won't be satisfied until we've claimed every last treasure the island has to offer. Krieg's booming voice resonates across the deck. A chorus of raucous cheers erupt from the pirates with their loyalty to their formidable captain, unquestioned. I wouldn't mind snagging a pretty lad for myself, one of the female pirates slurs, her words muffled by the bottle pressed against her lip. She lets out a raucous laugh with her eyes glazed over from the copious amounts of rum she has consumed. Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't ye? Bet you'd have him biggin' for your affections in no time. Another pirate woman chimes in, her voice laced with mischief. The two women cackle as their laughter echoes across the deck, drawing the attention of their crewmates. A few of the men hoot and whistle, their lewd gestures only fueling the women's lewd banter. Emboldened by the rum coursing through their veins, the two pirates lean in and their lips crashing together in a sloppy but passionate kiss. The crew erupts into a frenzy of cheers and catcalls, their raucous hoots and hollers echoing across the vast expanse of the ocean. Some of the men whistle and jeer while others watch with unabashed hunger in their eyes. Aye, that's the way, lassies. Give us a show. Will ye? A grizzled pirate bellows, his voice barely audible over the din. The two women, with their inhibitions thoroughly dissolved by the alcohol, heeded the pirate's request. Their kisses grow more heated, their hands roaming freely across each other's bodies, eliciting a fresh wave of raucous cheers from the crew. Cor blimey, that's a sight for sore eyes. Another pirate exclaims, his eyes fixed on the spectacle unfolding before them. As the two women continue their lewd display, the crew's enthusiasm reach a fever pitch, their hoots and hollers reverberating across the deck. It is a scene of unbridled debauchery, fueled by the heady concoction of rum and lust that permeates the air. Krieg makes his way to his quarters as the sound of the crew's raucous celebration fades into the distance. As he enters the dimly lit cabin, his thoughts drift to the demon brothers he had hired to stall Tazuna, allowing and his crew to completely loot the island or claim it as his own for a certain person. His reverie is interrupted by a sudden movement in the corner of his eye, and instinctively his hand reaches for the flintlock pistol at his hip as he whirls around, only to come face to face with a muscular woman named Sophia and another missing nin he had recruited. At ease, Captain. I mean you no harm, Sophia purrs, her full lips curling into a predatory smile. Krieg relaxes slightly, but his grip on the pistol remains firm. Sophia? To what do I owe the pleasure of your company? He acknowledges with a curt nod. Sophia saunters closer as her hips sway with a deliberate sensuality, merely seeking the company of a strong leader. A man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to take it, she murmurs, her voice a low but seductive purr. Krieg arches an eyebrow and, unmoved by her blatant display of seduction, I hired you for your skills. Not your charms, he said dryly. Sophia chuckles with a low but throaty sound that sends a shiver down Craig's spine despite himself, who says I can't offer both. She counters, closing the distance between them until their bodies were mere inches apart. Krieg holds her gaze and his expression inscrutable. We'll see. But for now, keep your mind on the task at hand. We have work to do, he replies, his voice a low rumble. As you wish, Captain. But I don't think I'll let you off so easily once this is over, Sophia purrs, her smile wide, and her eyes glinting with a mixture of amusement but anticipation. Yenenhan. The mist is thick and heavy as the group arrives at the sandy shores of Wave with Kaiza, guiding their boat to a dock, while Sakura's eyes strain to make out their surroundings through the hazy veil. Kazuna. Why is the mist so dense here? Sakura calls out, her voice tinged with concern. This mist is no mere product of our island's geography, Tazuna comments, as they disembark and looking out at the mist-shrouded waters. It burns off with the sun, but since it's a cloudy day, it will take longer to dissipate, Kaiza adds, seeing Naruto dismiss Jaws. Kakashi's single visible eye narrows as he looks to his team. Surround Tazuna and Kaiza in a manji formation. In case we run into issues, he orders, and his students immediately obey, taking up defensive positions around the two civilians. Naruto slips a cigarette into his mouth, but doesn't light it as Branwen lands on his shoulder, cawing softly and taking a biscuit from him. Naruto places a hand on his left arm, and several more ravens materialize around him from the summoned seal on his arm. The ebony birds take flight with their dark wings cutting through the mist as they disperse to scout the island and the surrounding waters for any sign of Craig's ship. My home isn't far from here. Just a little further down the road, Tazuna speaks up, after drinking from his flask. Stay alert, everyone. We don't know what kind of opposition we might face. Krieg may have hired other missing men, Kakashi says with a nod, his single visible eye continuously scanning their surroundings. Sakura tightens her grip on the kunai now in her hand, her emerald eyes darting back and forth while searching for any potential threat. Sasuke Sharingan blazes to life, the crimson iris swirling as he scrutinizes the mist, his body tense and ready for action. Hinata activates her Byakugan as the veins around her eyes bulging as she peers through the hazy veil. I don't see any immediate danger, she murmurs, her brow furrowing in concentration. Bua. Naruto muses, exhaling a plume of smoke, and Branwen perched on his shoulder with her beady eyes ever watchful. Naruto! Stop smoking around Sasuke! Sakura chides, waving a hand in front of her face to dispel the hazy tendrils. The blonde monarch merely shrugs and takes another long drag. He'll be fine. It's my vice. You don't complain when he reads his porn in public, Naruto murmurs, his gaze flickering to Kakashi with his orange book. They soon reach a modest dwelling nestled near the water's edge, as a young woman with long dark hair emerges from the doorway, a 6-year-old toddler clutching her hand. The child's eyes lit up as he catches sight of Tazuna and Kaiza before he lets go of his mother's grasp, tottering forward on unsteady legs. Papa! Grandpa! The little boy cries out joyfully, his cherubic face alight with unbridled glee. Tazuna's weathered features soften as he scoops up his grandson and enveloping him in a warm embrace. Inari, he chuckles, ruffling the child's unruly locks. Hey, son, Kaiza says, kissing his son's chubby cheek. Father, Kaiza. You're back safely, and you've brought guests, the woman says before embracing her husband. Their lips met in a sweet, lingering kiss, a momentary respite from the trials that has plagued their lives. Kaiza's strong arms envelope her, his calloused hands resting protectively on the swell of her belly. Tsunami? Our hero who saved our land has returned to aid us once more, Kaiza declares, and Tsunami gasps. Her eyes widen, and her hand flying to her lips as memories of that fateful day flood back. The young boy who had fearlessly confronted Gato's thugs, protecting her and her unborn child from harm. She could still recall the steely determination in his azure eyes, as he said he would bring an end to Gato's reign of terror. You mean, Wave's cage no ee? Tsunami breathes, her voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and hope. I, the lad who took down Gato himself. He's grown into quite the formidable shinobi, Tazuna says, pointing to the blonde as puts out his cigarette. Kaiza, my love, it seems our new blessing has brought Wave's cage no ee back to us again, Tsunami says, tenderly caresses her swollen belly, and a soft smile gracing her lips. So it would seem, as I said before, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. Have faith, and I'll take care of it, Naruto says, and Inari tugs his pants leg. He gives the blonde a smile, and Naruto ruffles his dark hair. Big deal. We'll believe it when we see it, Sasuke says, scoffing, and his arms folded across his chest. Yeah, don't get too ahead of yourself, Sakura adds, nodding, and her emerald eyes narrowed slightly. Hinata's gaze is cold as she looks at Naruto with her lavender eyes betraying no emotion. You can't change the fate of the lesser, she murmurs, her voice barely audible. Naruto shoots the 3 genin a blank look, and his brow furrowing slightly. Is this what you teach your genin? Kakashi, Naruto says, a hint of disappointment in his voice. Kakashi meets Naruto's gaze evenly, and his single visible eye betraying no emotion. They are still young, and have much to learn, he replies, his tone even. Naruto scoffs and shakes his head with his expression one of disappointment. We're the same age. Yet they act like children, he said, his tone laced with a hint of bitterness. Don't act so high and mighty. We're the ones who's been trained by an elite jonin. Not some wannabe hero, Sasuke says, his eyes narrowed and his lips curling into a sneer. Yeah. Don't think you're better than us, Sakura says, nodding vigorously and her arms crossed over her chest. Hinata's lavender eyes linger on Naruto with a flicker of disinterest passing through them. Her gaze remains detached as if she couldn't bring herself to care about the common people around her. There is a sense of indifference in her demeanor, a stark contrast to the fiery exchanges between of Sasuke and Sakura.
Our mission to escort Tazuna and Kaiza home is finished, but we'll remain to guard them as Naruto deals with the pirates alone, Kakashi says, clapping his hands and garnering attention to himself.
Yes, I will, Naruto says and explodes into an unkindness of ravens, as Sakura screeches in fear. Why don't we go inside our humble home and let Naruto do his thing? Tazuna says, watching the ravens fly away. A little time later, Naruto reforms on the roof of a building, and drops down to begin asks people where the pirates normally attack, and when they do so. They strike without warning, raiding and plundering whatever they can get their hands on. Their attacks are sporadic, but they seem to favor attacking on cloudy days, when the mist is thick, an older woman says, setting out her fresh blueberry muffins to sell but fixes Naruto a bag. She hands him the bag as Naruto gives her some money with a thank you for the information, before taking a bite out of the freshly baked blueberry muffin. The tantalizing aroma fills his nostrils, and the buttery pastry practically melts in his mouth, bursting with the sweet and slightly tart flavor of the plump blueberries. This is delicious, Naruto exclaims, savoring every bite as he strolls down the village street. I'm glad you like it, dear. Be careful out there and stay safe, the older woman says, beaming with pride and her wrinkled face lighting up at Naruto's enjoyment of her homemade treats. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye out. Thanks again for the information and the tasty muffin, Naruto says, his expression turning serious as he recalls her earlier words about the raids and attacks. He continues on his way with a final wave, and mentally notes the details about the sporadic attacks favoring cloudy, misty days. Every bit of intelligence could prove crucial in finding Krieg's ship and put an end to the pirate menace. Naruto takes another bite of the muffin, savoring the delightful combination of flavors and textures as Branwen suddenly lands on his shoulder. No talking. Most don't know about summon animals, Naruto says, giving her a piece of muffin as the raven nods, and both enjoy the freshly baked treat from a kind-hearted villager. He closes his eye to look through a few of his ravens while eating and sharing, but his luck rings true as one sees a man-o'-war on the ocean about 5 miles away from the bridge to the north. Game time, Bratzabuza says, coming from his shadow. Naruto quickly finishes his muffins and tosses the bag into the trash. Game on, he says, and uses shadow exchange with his raven.
Music. Chris Classic, Here We Go featuring Eminem.
A few moments earlier, Krieg's ship is making its way towards island for a raid, and using the cloudy day to their advantage. Listen up, scallywags. We're about to make landfall on that island, and we're gonna take everything it's got. Before the bridge builder arrives, we kill all in our path. Krieg bellows, his voice carrying across the ship. The crew erupts into cheers and jeers with their excitement palpable. "Aye, Captain. We'll plunder 'em dry," one of the men shouts, with few more shouts. Krieg grins, his muscular frame exuding confidence. His rugged features and decent looks add to his roguish charm, making him an imposing figure on the deck. That's what I like to hear. Leave no stone unturned, lads and lasses. We'll plunder this island dry, taking every last coin, jewel and valuable we can lay our hands on. None shall escape our grasp. Krieg bellows, his voice resonating with authority. The crew's enthusiasm escalates as their cheers and jeers echoing across the ship, while they eagerly anticipate the impending raid. Sophia leans against the mast and observes Krieg's ramblings with a hint of amusement, but her attention is drawn to a raven that lands on the rigging above Krieg's head, causing her to narrow her eyes and sensing something amiss. "What is with that bird?" Sophia murmurs, her brow furrowing as the ominous bird. The raven lets out a haunting caw, and its beady eyes fixed on Krieg as if observing his every move. Sophia's grip tightens on her tanto, her shinobi training kicking in as she senses a potential threat. The raven's form suddenly shimmers and transforms into a young man perched on the rigging, his piercing blue eyes holding a dangerous glint. "Who are you?" Krieg demands, now seeing the blonde and his hand instinctively reaching for his pistol. Naruto hops down from the rigging and lands lightly on the deck with faint smirk playing on his lips as he regards the pirate. "Don Krieg? I presume," he said, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of power. "That's right, and you've made a grave mistake by boarding my ship," Krieg says, puffing out his chest and a boastful sneer twisting his features.
"We'll see about that," Naruto says, materializing ebony and firing a deafening gunshot. The bullet tears through Krieg's skull, punching a neat hole between his eyes. The pirate captain's body crumples to the deck and blood pooling around his lifeless form. "Who are you?" Sofa says, noting Naruto's impassive gaze.
"I'm here to kill all the pirates aboard before they reach." "Wave, Naruto," said his voice low and dangerous. "Get him!" the pirate shouts, brandishing their weapons. Naruto's eyes brightly as Winter and Iga burst from his shadow with Greed, Zabuza, and Yuri. The conjoined demon brothers, Yagura, and Haku as well. The pirates falter with their bravado wavering in the face of such formidable opponents and shadow soldiers at the ready, their stances exuding confidence and lethality. Sophia's grin remains unwavering as her eyes are alight with a mixture of amusement and defiance. "You'll have to do better than that, darling," she taunts, unfazed by the display of power. "Suit yourself," Naruto says with a low chuckle, and a flick of his wrist sends his allies surging forward. Sophia wastes no time and shoots forward with impressive speed, her blade slicing through the air as she aims for Naruto's throat. He effortlessly sidesteps her strikes with his revolver still trained on her, as his shadow soldiers engage the pirates in a flurry of clashing steel and grunts of exertion. Haku's lithe form dances through the fray as his senbon needles finding their mark with deadly accuracy, while Zabuza's massive blade cleaves through weapons and flesh alike. Greed's fists crackle with energy as each strike sends pirates flying, and Yagura's water techniques sweep them off their feet and leaving them gasping for air. "Is that all you've got?" Naruto taunts, his voice laced with amusement, as he effortlessly dodges her strikes. Sophia's eyes narrow, and she redoubles her efforts, her blade whirling with renewed vigor. Yet, no matter how skillful her strikes, Naruto seems to anticipate her every move, and his revolver parrying her strikes. Naruto fires a shot from his revolver, and the bullet cuts through the air with a sharp whistle. Sophia twists her body and narrowly avoiding the projectile, but it grazes her right thigh to draw a thin line of crimson. Sophia leaps back undeterred and wipes the blood from her wound with her hand. She swiftly weaves a series of hand signs with her fingers moving with practiced precision. "Summoning Jutsu!" Sophia shouts, slamming her palm onto the ground. A summoning array forms and the boat suddenly lurches beneath their feet as something colossal emerges from underneath the ocean. "Ha!" Naruto thought as massive tentacles rise from the churning waters, and each thick like a tree. A gargantuan octopus breaches the surface and its beady eyes fixated on the ship. "Try and stop, baby," Sophia taunts, a wicked grin playing on her lips as its tentacles grip the ship. Naruto's eyes narrow and a confident smile spreads across his face. "You're not the only one who can summon powerful beasts." "Isabu," he retorts, his voice carrying a hint of amusement. Isabu launches from Naruto's shadow and slams into the octopus as he grows in size, unleashing a deafening roar that's shaking the very air. Sophia's cocky expression falters with her jaw dropping in disbelief. "Impossible," she murmurs, her voice barely audible over the crashing waves and the rumbling growls of the summoned titans. "Very possible," Naruto says, his grin wide and pointing Ebony at Sophia. The kraken lashes out with blinding speed and its colossal tentacles whipping through the air like massive bull lips. Isobu swivels its bulk and avoids the initial onslaught with surprising agility for its immense size. Krieg's ship is at the mercy of the waves, but Sophia charges Naruto with her tanto clutched in her hand. She thrusts her weapon forward, but Naruto explodes into an unkindness of ravens, the shadowy birds swirling around her with their wings buffeting her face. Sophia's eyes widens as the shadows coalesce behind her, and reforming into Naruto with both his sleek revolvers, leveling it at her legs, and two thunderous shots ring out. The bullets tearing through the flesh of her thighs, and Sophia cries out in agony, collapsing to the deck as blood seeps from the wounds. Naruto steps over her writhing form, his gaze fixed on the titanic battle unfolding before them. "Lay there and watch your baby die," Naruto murmurs, his voice devoid of emotion. The kraken unleashes a barrage of strikes and its tentacles slamming into Isobu's shell with thunderous force. Isobu unleashes another deafening roar. The kraken's tentacles recoil momentarily, as if stunned by the sheer volume of the sound. "You bastard!" Sophia hisses with her teeth gritted, glaring at Naruto through the haze of pain. "My mother loved me very much," Naruto says, chuckling, but the sound is devoid of mirth as he points Ebony. Isobu seizes the opportunity and surges forward, its colossal bulk slamming into the kraken with devastating force. The creature's armored shell pummels the kraken's rubbery flesh and driving it down into the depths of the ocean. A few moments later, Da's tattered tentacles begin to surface, drifting listlessly amidst the turbulent waves. "Game over," Naruto says, leveling Ebony with her forehead, and Sophia's eyes widen in fear with her lips parting to plead for mercy. A single gunshot rings out and echoing across the deck as Sophia's body went limp. "Now? Arise," Naruto says, his voice devoid of remorse. Sophia's body twitches as her shadowy doppelganger rises to her feet, and eyes glowing with an eerie purple radiance. Krieg is next, along with the fallen pirates rise, and the kraken is last, forming into a colossal, amorphous mass that towers above the deck. Glowing purple eyes burn within its inky depths, fixing their baleful gaze upon Naruto. "You shall be called Krathok," Naruto says after thinking of the name for the octopus, and with a wave of his hand, dismisses his shadow soldiers. He then summons a dozen shadow clones into existence. "Scour every inch of this ship," Naruto instructs them. The pirates are dealt with and Wave is free again. I can only imagine how Team 7 will react to Naruto muses, as his clones disperse to carry out their orders and sighs. Chibi Mayuri rises from his shadow and takes a seat on his head. They'll be jealous. Especially Makoto's baby boy, she quips, her tiny form exuding a mischievous energy. "I blame greed," Makoto huffs, casting a playful glare at Naruto. Naruto summons greed, and without a word, the hulking figure drops to all fours as the blonde plops down on his back. Naruto chuckles and plucks a cigarette from his pack that was in pocket, and slips it between his lips as he lights with a Zippo. Thick tendrils of smoke curl into the air as he takes a long drag, and savoring the rich flavor. The gentle rocking of the ship lulls him into a contemplative state, and Naruto's thoughts drift to the potential recruits that might be found among the ranks of Konoha's forces. And speaking. Summon. Bijou. Shadow Soldier. Pause. Long pause. Yanghanan. Disclaimer. I own nothing.
Chappie 7.
Land of Waves. Naruto strolls through the town but lets out a weary sigh as a familiar figure trails behind him. Sakura follows as her pink hair sways with each determined step, trying to catch up to him with a resolute expression etched on her features. Naruto, you need to pick Sasuke for the Gotti 13. Sakura declares, her emerald eyes boring into his own as he turns. Oh, and why should I do that? Sakura, Naruto says, arching an eyebrow and his lips curling into a half smirk. Because he's the last Uchiha. He's powerful, and he'll be a valuable asset to the group. Much than you seem to, Sakura retorts, her hands planted firmly on her hips. Power alone does not make one worthy, Sakura. There are far more important qualities to consider, Naruto says, shaking his head and chuckling softly. Sakura opens her mouth to protest, but Naruto holds up a hand and silences her. Tell me, what do you know of Sasuke's true motivations? His dreams? His desires? He walks a path of vengeance, consumed by hatred and a thirst for power to kill Itachi. Such emotions can lead one astray, clouding their judgment and corrupting their soul, he says, his gaze intensifying and challenging her. Sakura falters as her brow furrows while she struggles to find a rebuttal. I may not know him as well as you think, but you need to give Sasuke a chance. He's powerful and could be a valuable asset to the Goten 13, Sakura retorts, her brow furrowing with determination. Naruto lets out a groan of exasperation. You are so blinded by your infatuation with him. Can't you see beyond this edifice you've built concerning him, and recognize the darkness that festers within him, he says, pinching the bridge of his nose? You... Sakura starts, but Naruto breaks down into an unkindness of ravens, putting distance between them. Sakura stands there with her mouth agape, watching as the flock take flight and her fists clenched at her sides. Naruto, this discussion isn't over, Sakura calls out, frustration lacing her voice as several townspeople turn to look at her and shaking their heads disapprovingly. Her cheeks immediately flush with embarrassment at the unwanted attention, but she remains undeterred. Her fists remain clenched tightly at her sides and she huffs in annoyance. A middle-aged woman tuts, muttering something about the youth of today under her breath as she bustles past, her shopping basket swinging precariously from the crook of her elbow. A group of children giggle and point, whispering to one another before scampering off, their laughter echoing in the narrow street. Damn that Naruto, Sakura thought, gritting her teeth while ignoring the judgmental stares and whispers from the townspeople. She would not be deterred so easily, and with a determined gleam in her emerald eyes, sets off in pursuit and her footsteps echoing against the streets as she followed the path ravens took. The unkindness of ravens soon reform into the physical body of Naruto as he approaches Tezuna's house. Naruto, thank you again for your assistance in dealing with Craig's pirate. You are truly Wave's cage. No, Kaiza greets warmly, a grateful smile spreading across his weather-beaten features. It was no problem, Kaiza. I'm just glad I was able to put an end to their reign of terror and restore peace to Wave, Naruto says, returning the smile, and his eyes crinkling at the corners. Kaiza nods with his admiration for the young monarch evident in his gaze. Our people owe you a debt of gratitude again. If there is ever anything we can do to repay you, please don't hesitate to ask, he says, patting the blonde on his shoulder before heading for the docks. Heads up, Chibi, Makoto says, as the sound of hurried footsteps echoed behind him. He turns to see Sakura approaching, her brow furrowed with determination, and her cheeks flush from her brisk pursuit. Naruto, we need to talk about this now, Sakura calls out, her voice laced with a mix of frustration and resolve. Naruto turns to face her with his expression hardening as he meets her determined gaze. No. We don't, Sakura, and no amount of screeching is going to convince me otherwise, he said firmly, his hands in his pockets. Sakura's jaw clenches with her fists, balling at her sides, screeching. Is that what you think I'm doing? I'm trying to reason with you, Naruto. Sasuke is a valuable asset, and you need him on your side, she says after taking a deep breath, attempting to rein in her temper. You're repeating yourself, and you have me doing the same. He's a ticking time bomb, and I won't risk the safety of the Gotti 13 by bringing someone like that into our ranks, Naruto says, shaking his head with a scoff. You're being unreasonable. Sasuke's incredible power, and with the right guidance, he could be a force for good, Sakura says, her voice rising and her frustration mounting. What seems to be the problem here? A familiar voice calls out from behind them before the blonde could respond. Naruto. Sakura, I couldn't help but overhear your spirited discussion, Kakashi says, strolling over, and his visible eye crinkled in a casual eye smile. Kakashi-sensei, please, you have to talk some sense into Naruto. He's refusing to consider Sasuke for the Gaudy 13, and they need his power on their side, Sakura says, her eyes blazing with determination. And I said no, and that is a complete sentence, Naruto says, rubbing his upper right arm. Now, let's not be too hasty. Sasuke's path has been a difficult one, but he possesses immense potential. With the right guidance, he could be an invaluable asset, Kakashi says as he regards his student and the blonde monarch. Guidance? Then what has your proper guidance done for him? It hasn't made a dent in his obsession with revenge on his brother, Naruto says, tousling his blonde hair as Kakashi sighs and runs a hand through his silver hair. Unless Sasuke makes a complete 180. I won't even change my mind, Naruto states firmly, his eyes narrowing with resolve. Sakura opens her mouth to protest, but Kakashi raises a hand and silences her. I understand your concerns, Naruto, he said evenly. Naruto turns on his heel and strides toward Tazuna's house, leaving Sakura and Kakashi standing there with her lips pressed into a thin line, frustration and disappointment etched on her features. He enters the humble dwelling with the sound of Tazuna's boisterous laughter greets him, followed by the soft but melodic tones of Tsunami's voice. He finds Tazuna on the well-worn sofa, his calloused hands gently resting on Tsunami's swollen belly and Inari playing nearby. The older man's eyes are dancing with delight as he coos and chuckles, no doubt regaling the unborn child with tales of his exploits. Ah, Naruto, come! You must feel the little one kicking, Tazuna exclaims, his jovial demeanor brightening even further upon seeing the young monarch. Yes, please, join us, Naruto. This child's arrival is a blessing, and we owe it all to you for protecting our island. Once again, Tsunami says with a warm smile, her cheeks flushed with joy and radiant contentment. No thanks are needed, Tsunami. Protecting those in need is my duty, and I'm honored to have played a role in ensuring the safety of your family. And Wave Country, Naruto returning her smile, shaking his head gently. He approaches the pair to kneel beside Tazuna and places a hand on Tsunami's belly. He immediately feels the gentle flutters of the child's movements, a sense of wonder filling his heart. We may not be able to repay you, but please know that our gratitude knows no bounds, Tsunami says, reaching out and her delicate hand resting atop Naruto's as the blonde nods. Tazuna, if you don't mind, I'd like to speak with you privately, Naruto says, his expression turning serious. Tazuna's jovial demeanor sobers as he catches the gravity in Naruto's tone. Of course, lad. Lead the way, he says as he gently pats Tsunami's hand and rises from the sofa. The two men venture outside and making their way towards the docks. Tazuna, I need to understand how Krieg and his pirates managed to attack Wave Country so brazenly. Weren't there supposed to be measures in place to prevent such incursions? Naruto asks, once they reach the end of the dock, and his brow furrowed in concern. I'm not entirely sure, lad, but perhaps the answer lies with the new daimyo Lady Miyuki Tachibana. She controls the shipping lanes now, Tazuna says, while scratching his chin, a thoughtful expression crossing his weathered features. Tachibana? Huh? What can you tell me about her, Naruto says, his eyes narrowing at the mention of the daimyo's name. Well, she's a newcomer, that's for sure. Came into power after Gato died. Rumor has it she's got connections with some less than savory types, but nothing concrete, Tazuna muses, looking out at the water. Is that so? If true, it would certainly explain how Krieg managed to slip past the defenses undetected. I'll need to look into this Lady Tachibana and her potential ties to the criminal underworld, Naruto says, intrigued by Tazuna's claim and gives him a glance. Be careful. If these rumors are true. She's not someone to be trifled with, Tazuna says, worry etched on his face.